RightSide here, going to bring right in. It's Tuesday, so that means the big man on campus will be joining us. Jeff Nadeau, found all over the channels here at sportsbookraview.com. Catch him also as my co-host on the Right Side of Campus Monday through Friday. Jeff also does a great job on everything on the channel with soccer, football, whatever you want to call it, and also catch his show on Saturday, 11 a.m. with Pistol Pete Low Shack, 11 a.m., the Closing Line College Football Edition of Fantastic. So, Jeff, welcome in, buddy.
What's up, Donnie? Good to be with you. Always on a Tuesday here on the Closing Line. Happy to be on.
Yeah, nice and fun. Jeff, earlier today we did the Right Side of Campus. We spent about 30 minutes with technical difficulties through Google Hangouts, but we do have a studio show set up. Jeff, look how good we look on the screen right now. It's amazing, man.
It's great. I feel like I'm at some kind of high-level movie studio. It's just great. I get some shelves in the background, then we'll be looking like really good. Be great.
Yeah, man, get the and Jeff, hey, the casting couch going to be involved back there as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna have two blondes sitting on it every day. It's gonna be fun.
Well, to incorporate, but no, we're going to have a lot of fun on the show tonight, folks, just to get you prepped on what we're going to take a look at. Some Major League Baseball action. We'll take a look at the game, which is actually good for the show, Jeff, because it's in a delay, so we can still cap it as opposed to it already being underway. Also, Jeff, I know you're a big Yankees guy. Big game tomorrow with CeCe Sabathia and Corey Kluber. We'll take a look at that also. You know what time it is on Tuesdays. Each and every time Jeff appears on the Closing Line, he goes over a 5-pack of NCAA football games. We're going to take a look at some opening lines, maybe pique your interest, maybe go a way or two there, depending on how much time we have today as well. We're going to dip into some NFL action. It's nice, Jeff, that you get to come on Tuesdays there because nice little extension of the Right Side of Campus. We didn't get through everything that we wanted to talk about, so we can all recap and get busy and get it on here today. Jeff, why don't we go over baseball here? 9:55, 9:56 on the rotation. Washington and the Chicago Cubs. Roark on the mound versus Jake Arrieta. If we take a look at the line, 7.5, Jeff, across the board. Line opened up at Pinnacle. Money wise, minus 148 at Pinnacle. Chris opened up at 150. Those lines sitting anywhere between 155 to 165, depending on what book you're looking at. Pivotal game today, Jeff. Let's preface it by saying what happened, with Max Scherzer yesterday. I know you had a very strong opinion leading into this. Let's talk a little Washington Nationals here with Dusty Baker as the manager.
Yeah, I mean, and that's going to be the undoing of the Cubs in this series is or the Nationals in this series, the inability of their manager to do anything at a high level. He's just not a good manager. The constant mistakes, like it's July, cannot happen at this level of baseball. Many mistakes yesterday. Why are you pulling Scherzer after him giving up one hit? Why are you not walking Anthony Rizzo to face Contreras? Why are you worried about Kyle Schwarber? There's just a whole litany of problems. And you look at this game tonight. I mean, obviously rain going to be a little problem early on, but it's nice that they started it early because now they can kind of I don't really know what to rush to get this game in. There's nothing on tonight anyway. It might be a little bit later, but that just means we get baseball at night as opposed to during dinner, which doesn't make much sense as it is. I never really understood the 5:30 start. Look, and Donnie, all that adding into the fact of the Nationals are not playing well offensively right now. They're only hitting 121 in this series. They've only scored 7 runs and only have 11 hits. The top of their order is not done anything. Trey Turner has no hits. Bryce Harper and Murphy are struggling. And you have a bullpen that, I got to tell you, Donnie, even with adding Kinsler and Madsen, that's another problem. Why are you bringing in Sammy Solis yesterday? Why are you not bringing in Ryan Madsen? Why are you not bringing in Sean Doolittle or somebody? It just doesn't make any sense. I don't understand. You got to go with your best players. Dusty Baker doesn't do that. And now you're looking at getting a beat here in this game. For me, I'd be on the Cubs. I'm not a big Arrieta guy, but I trust him a lot more than I trust Roark here. Add in the fact that the offense for the Nationals just isn't very good right now, plus the coaching problems seemingly every game. I'm going to go with Joe Madden. I know you're not a big Madden guy, but I'd take him any day of the week over Dusty Baker. Give me Madden and the Cubs today. They close it out.
Yeah, it should be a good one there. Looking at from the Chicago Cubs perspective, I mean, this is the game you want. You got them at home. You win. You close them out. You move on to the NLCS. It's all in your court, Jeff. You have what appears to be the better pitcher on the mound, obviously, versus Roark. And again, that's not that expensive of a line, Jeff. When you're looking overall, you see the Cubs, Chris opens up at 150, ends at 160, bet online 153. That's not that expensive for one would thought, a home team looking to close out. I know the Washington Nationals 1-8 is a very good lineup. Overall in the season, the Nationals were the better club. But this is a one-game playoff, so to speak, for the Chicago Cubs. And for that line to be a closeout number, all hands on deck, I think I might be leaning Cubs in this situation. Maybe if that line was 175 or 180 in that respect, you might say, hey, man, there might be some value with Washington.
Yeah.
But I don't trust Tanner Roark that much. I think that's what it all comes down to.
And that's another extreme problem that you have. He just doesn't do anything correct. Why is Roark going in this game? Can you explain that to me? I mean, you have a game where you're eliminated if you lose, and why isn't Strasburg pitching on 4 days rest? It doesn't make any sense. What's going to happen here, Donnie, is Roark, like Trevor Bauer last night, is going to get crushed in the first 3 or 4 innings, give up 3 or 4 runs, and then Dusty Baker and the Nationals are going to be eliminated because they can't hit. So it doesn't matter if they're down in this game; they're not going to be able to hit. You're going with Roark. It just doesn't make any sense. It's another horrible decision by Dusty Baker. But again, that's what Dusty Baker does. He's not a guy that deserves to be on a playoff caliber team, and he manages his team out of those every year.
Yeah, Major League Baseball is going to be in control of this game because I always like to throw out like some conspiracy theories. You remember a couple times at home, those random rainouts out of nowhere that the Nationals would put up at home? You know, maybe there's rain in the forecast. It doesn't rain. They didn't want the pitcher on the mound that night. It's a shame they probably can't do that in Chicago because if you know, Jeff, if this game was at the Nationals ballpark, they probably just trip the sprinklers and bust up the drainage out there just to get the extra day to get Strasburg on full rest to go in the next round. But that's not going to take place tonight. Go ahead.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I don't think there's any chance this game doesn't get played tonight. Like I said, it was only supposed to start at 5:30 anyway. We have to also keep in mind, I mean, the Red Sox and Astros played in rain yesterday. Again, the heavy rain's going through Chicago right now. I think unless this is 9 o'clock, this game will be played. If you remember, Donnie, in the World Series with the Phillies in 2008, I mean, they didn't start that game for I think it was Game 4 in Philadelphia, or Game 5 in Philadelphia. They started at like 10 o'clock at night. There's no one playing tomorrow.
No, it was actually opposite on that, Jeff. It rained so hard that night, but the Phillies were up 1-0, and they didn't want to end the game 1-0 rain out where the Phillies won the World Series. If you remember that inning, it was raining so hard. I think Jimmy Rollins might have dropped a pop fly.
No, I'm not talking about that game.
Which one?
I'm talking about the game when Joe Bland hit a home run. That game was delayed like 3 hours, and they played it. I remember I lived with my parents at the time. I was just out of high school. They started the game at like 10 o'clock. Jamie Moyer pitched, I remember. It was, if you go back and look, I remember them saying, like, they're starting a game at 10 o'clock in South Philadelphia. It was like, yeah, go back and look. I know what game you're talking about.
Yeah, no, you might be. I thought you were talking the World Series game. Yeah, no, you might be right on that. I don't remember that game. Yeah, you might be right on that.
I think it was game.
But no, I was just joking. I was just joking around on that, Jeff. The Nationals had the 2 rainouts that actually didn't even rain at their ballpark this year. No, go ahead with that. It was a good point you brought up because, yeah, you have all night now to sit and wait this out. And you know the Cubs don't want to delay this, don't want to extend it, don't want to say, hey, we'll just play this game tomorrow because they have the advantage tonight in the closeout game. They'll get this played.
And it seems like also everyone thinks that everyone's on East Coast time. Right now, it's only 5:09 in Chicago. So they also have another hour to play with, basically. So this game will be played. It's not going to get postponed. They're going to have to face the music here and play this game. I know they're hoping for a rainout, but they're not going to get it.
Yeah, if you're Fox, Jeff, because the reason why this game was probably started around dinner time is they were anticipating having a Dodgers-Arizona game tonight that would have been that doubleheader. But I guess when the times are set up, you can't just say, all right, hey, game day, let's just flip it 3 hours later. I wouldn't be surprised if they love this delay. Yeah, now you can put this game back in. Hey, we're going to delay it for 2 hours. Now you get the primetime baseball game, which they want for ratings.
And the only people that care are Nationals fans and players because everyone else has nothing better to do tonight but watch baseball because unless you're watching hockey or preseason basketball, you're not going to have anything on. So, yeah, this is big for the Cubs. It's big for all of us that like postseason baseball. And for all of us, I think the Cubs are to play here.
No, I would agree with that. Over under 7.5 in these type of games. Last night I was wrong. The only game I actually lost that I gave out yesterday was the under in the New York Yankees game, 7.5. A lot of unforced errors, but again, the game went way over the total. If you're looking at this game, Jeff, a 7.5 game, a closeout game. When it's a closeout game, I usually like to lean towards the under because I think runs mean a lot more, and everybody's on deck. If Roark goes 3 1/4 innings, let's just say in these. At a high pitch amount, it's only 1-0. I think you will see Strasburg enter into this ball game the same way Chris Sale did yesterday, just to win it or just to try to extend it. I think the best pitchers will pitch. But then again, Jeff, you got Dusty out there who obviously doesn't value his best pitchers out of the bullpen in key situations. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he leaves Roark out there when he just, high pitch count, fourth inning. Hey, it's just what I do. I'm just going to go by my book.
Yeah, I think after yesterday's little stunt, it'd be hard for him to do that tonight. We also have to point out, Donnie. I mean, the Cubs are winning the series, but it's not like they're hitting. I mean, they're only hitting 202 over the last 7 games, which goes into the regular season. They're not hitting well. They don't hit well against righties to begin with. I like the under a lot in this game, to be honest with you. I think a lot of people were banking on, a pitcher would get pulled or something, and it'd be rainy and blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, neither offense is hitting. I'm not really sure why you'd bet the over. I mean, if it goes over, fine, but I don't really see the reasoning behind that. Two struggling offenses, two pitchers that should pitch well, and if one doesn't, you'll have starters
Wind's
coming
blowing
in
in
here.
too tonight, I
All
believe,
hands on
Jeff.
deck.
Is that correct? Wind blowing in. I think
Yeah.
I saw somebody say that today. Yeah. So, I mean, that helps. And again,
Yes,
it's a
I
National
see
League ballpark, so you're going to get the pitcher as well batting. So, yeah, no,
it.
I agree with
Correct.
you on that. I think you're on to something there with the under. Jeff, if we look tomorrow, Major League Baseball, 9:15, 9:16, we might as well hit that game. 8 p.m. start, closeout game, exciting. Ratings. It's going to be 8 o'clock. It's going to be a lot of fun. Sabathia and Kluber are going to take the man. Heavy favorite here, Jeff. Looking at the numbers right now, Chris 187, Sportsbook 184, Bet Online minus 180. CC's been in these big high pressure situations. What are you going to get out of them? Kluber, that rock that you want in your lineup in this game. When you line up the series and you say, if I have a closeout game or if it's a game 5, game 7, whatever it is, I want Kluber on the mound at home. That's what they got. Going to be some tough uphill climbing here for the New York Yankees, but hey, it's game 5, Jeff. We've seen crazier things happen.
Yeah, we have. The problem here is the Yankees would have to win 3 straight games, obviously winning this one to win this series. And they've lost 5 in a row on the road in the playoffs overall, Donnie. So it's hard for me to envision. And I got to be honest, I like Cleveland in this game overall. I think they win this game, and I think they win it fairly easily. Here's the problem with the Yankees, and this is why being a manager and having a good manager is so important. The ultimate undoing of the New York Yankees is going to be, again, we're seeing it with the Nationals, the undoing of their manager. Bad managing loses games in the playoffs. If Joe Girardi is a good manager, the Yankees win game 2. And we're not talking about this game right now. We're talking about the Yankees moving on to face the Houston Astros. Unfortunately, though, due to Joe Girardi's poor managing, they're in this situation. This situation sorely comes down to the fact that Joe Girardi is not a good manager, and he stole a game for the Indians and gave them this opportunity. Also, look at the fact, now you got to go with CC Sabathia, who, let's be real, wasn't very good in game 2. And you also have to point out that against Lindor, Santana, and Jose Ramirez, they're 20 for 42 against CC with 9 RBIs. Look, I just don't think it's a very good spot for the Yankees. Kluber's not going to be poor like he was in the first game. You had every ample opportunity to win this series. Unfortunately, game 2 was when this team lost this series. It doesn't matter that they've won 2 straight. I don't believe they have the ability to go on the road and win this game. I'm sorry. It sucks. I love the Yankees, but unfortunately, we don't have a good manager, and this is the difference. They have a good manager. We don't.
Yeah, and I mean, going back to the style, not Hank and Hal, but going back to the father George. If this game was played maybe in 2000 when he was still alive, and Joe Girardi didn't challenge a ball that ended up being a grand slam, that ended up you losing the ball game in the playoffs, I don't know if he would even made it out of the stadium at that point. He would have got ripped that bad. I mean, you can't do that. Isn't it amazing, Jeff? Like you're a baseball manager. Like your only job is to not lose the ball game. Your job is to stand there, especially American League. You don't have to make double switches. And say, hey, you know what? What reliever's up in the bullpen? Why don't I just use one of my better ones? Put him in the game. Hey, looks like that play, got hit or that, was a checker. Why don't we challenge this? Nah, I don't think so. Like you have so few responsibilities as an American League manager, and you miss on something that big. It's amazing.
And the thought process behind not challenging it is one of the stupidest excuses
Yeah, go ahead.
I've
Yeah, get
ever
on.
seen.
You know what? Yep. Go ahead and bring that up in case anybody hasn't heard that.
I don't want to damage the pitcher's rhythm. First of all, this is a decision that would probably cost you the game. It did cost you the game. It doesn't make any, even and from a guy that talks about how great of a catcher he was and how he understands catchers, if your own catcher is saying to you, you need to challenge, keep in mind, catcher's the closest person to see what would happen here. You should challenge it. What do you have to lose? There was nothing to lose in this situation. Nothing. Absolutely zero. But that's the problem with Joe Girardi. He's not a good manager. He has no idea what he's doing. He should have stuck with CeCe anyway. We wouldn't have been in this situation if he wouldn't have pulled CeCe Sabathia and went to God knows who, Chad Green. CeCe was cruising with 77 pitches, and again, Girardi over-managing, because that's what he does, comes in, pulls CeCe out, and the floodgates opened. This series should be over, and that's where I'm at with it. Am I happy that they won? Let's say, sure. Am I happy that they won Sunday? Sure. But it doesn't mask the fact that Joe Girardi is just not capable of doing anything correct, and that's why we're in this situation. Give me the Indians. And that's why the Indians, to me, are the favorite to win the World Series. They're the only team that has a capable manager on the other side other than the Cubs. That's why, look at all the managers, Donnie. Dave Roberts, A.J. Hinch, Joe Girardi, Dusty Baker. They're all hacks. All of them. They're all going to screw something up. The only two teams.
Jeff, come on, throw Joe Madden in there as well. Throw Joe Madden in there as a hack, please.
Okay, but either way, I would take him over every other manager except for Francona. And that's why the Cleveland Indians are a step above everyone else. They have a shutdown bullpen, they have a good lineup, and they have the best coach left. This game is over. The series is over. Indians win. I think they win it easily.
It would have been interesting, like Joe Girardi in that type of situation. What happens if, let's just say, Jeff, it was 2 outs, right? And there was first and second base, a double steal for the Indians where your catcher throws let's just say he throws down the second base. Bang, bang play, looks like he's out. And Girardi's like, you know what? I don't want to challenge this. I'd rather have like second and third because my pitcher's in a good rhythm right now. And instead of just seeing if the guy's out or not, where you just get out of the inning altogether. It's an amazing thing. It's one of the bigger gaffes that you've seen. And was it even just being lazy as a manager, Jeff? Like saying, we got a 4-run lead or a 5-run lead. What next pitch he's probably going to ground out. No, the next pitch he hits a grand slam. I mean, it's an amazing, cavalcade of what actually happened to transpire that made you lose that game when it was an automatic win. You should have won that walking away.
And that's the point. The series should be over. And that's the problem. And also, you're also fighting against, Donnie, the Cleveland Indians have been a luck box all year. I mean, everything happens from them. And also throw into the fact that the Yankees have not won on the road in the playoffs in 5 straight games. Sorry. I'm just not interested. Prove me wrong, Yankees. Do it. Prove me wrong. Go on the road and win this game. I just don't think it's very feasible.
Yeah, I'll lean on Cubbies tonight.
Wow.
Has it? No, has it really?
I can't believe that.
Are you kidding
Dusty
me?
Baker must have been sucking someone off for that to happen.
That's amazing. I don't joking around saying he played the race card. That's amazing. That's the power of being on live TV. I thought somebody was joking when they said that.
But how do you? I'm not quite sure. I understand why the game's canceled. And why?
Wait,
you have all night tomorrow.
So it's going to be tomorrow, I guess.
Yeah, tomorrow. Yep.
And it would be another early game because it's going to be before the Yankees game.
Yeah, I guess it's probably 4 o'clock.
3 p.m. 3 p.m. Central. So we're looking at 4 o'clock Eastern then.
Cubs fans, that'd be hot. Wow. I'd be really hot if I was a Cubs fan.
Oh, my God. That's amazing. Yes, that's tomorrow. Yeah, they're going to win the series. They're going to win the series now, Jeff.
3:08 p.m. Tomorrow for this game.
That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable.
If you're a Cubs fan,
I don't understand. Yes. Yep.
If you're a Cub fan, you have to be really hot about this. Really hot. I would be thieving mad here. You're giving.
I can't even imagine. Yeah, if that was your squad. Yeah. Oh my goodness, that's amazing, man.
Amazing.
But good. Now, Jeff, hold on. Here we go. Ready? Here we go. This is Dusty Baker. I told Tanner he was starting. He's going to get the start again tomorrow.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Do you put it past him, Jeff? Do you put it past him?
No, not at all. I wouldn't be surprised if he said that his younger son's going to pitch tonight or tomorrow. Darren Baker down in Single A. That wouldn't surprise me at all.
I'm going to bring Cole in for that game. That's going to be a surprise. Cole's been waiting to pitch in this one. That's amazing. I'm glad. That's what the live chat box is for. We're saying it's absolutely happening tonight. They can wait 5 hours and play this ball game. By the way, it's canceled. So they waited 40 minutes and then canceled it.
But I don't really understand. It's 5:20 p.m. in Chicago. And if you look at the weather radar, it's going to rain for a little here. But I mean, do you not have all
They don't
night
call
here?
Jeff.
I
They
mean,
don't
maybe
even call regular season games that quick.
no, something
That
something's
start at
going on
seven
here. This
o'clock.
is
And you would figure if it was Major League Baseball, like the Cubs are at home, they have the situation they wanted. It's not their fault that Dusty Baker is an idiot and they have the lead in the series. You would say to Major League Baseball, say, look, by the rules, we'll wait 3 hours on this. The field's covered. We want to play it. We're at home. We don't want it moved back. And they say, yeah, well, no, we're going to just get a better matchup and better ratings tomorrow night. I'm actually really baffled by this one. You're right, man. It's interesting.
pretty deplorable, really. Yes, May. I don't see how fees we can do that. I mean, it's 5 Eastern or 5 Central. I mean, why can't you wait? I mean, they didn't do it in the World Series. They made them play at 10 o'clock Eastern when the Phillies were in. I mean, you're right.
And
I've
now we
never
have
seen
nothing
this
to
even
watch
in.
tonight, Jeff. This is really interesting. Can you imagine? Like, yeah, put it in anybody's city. Like, let's just say you're going back. I don't know. The Yankees have Pettit on the mound or whoever, and it's like, hey, Yankees are going to close it out at home against the other guy's not good pitcher, and Randy Johnson just going to be able to pitch tomorrow night against you. That's unbelievable. That's really amazing, man. This is pretty good. I'm gonna if you can go on the internet and you can check around like certain things. You could probably get the channels out, say like TuneIn Radio or radio.com, whatever it is, to listen to the Sportsbook Radio in Chicago. It's probably going off the charts right now. Ridiculous.
No, I would be really hot if I was if I was a fan of this team. I really would. But yeah, I guess we're gonna have to watch the Flyers or preseason basketball tonight.
Nice, Phil. Yeah, no, it should be interesting here, Jeff. Before we transition over, we're going to get to that NCAA 5-pack for college football. We'll take a look at this weekend. I know you're big on soccer, and there's a lot of doings going on right now. I see everything you're retweeting out there. I know you struggled a little bit in your free picks that you gave out today, but what are we looking at soccer-wise? What's on the docket? Anything tonight, tomorrow?
Yeah,
what can we anticipate over the next couple of days?
my last 12 days with qualifiers, there were 6 this week and then 6 last month. I think I had 1 or 2 losing days. Today was one of them. Tough day today. Couldn't get a last goal from 2 different teams. But you have South American qualifiers tonight, and you have the U.S. going. Look, I think it's highly unlikely the United States loses. If they win this game, they're in the World Cup. They're not losing to Trinidad and Tobago. I would actually, if you're into this sort of thing, Donnie, Argentina is on the precipice of not making the World Cup, which is absolutely amazing.
Will people die
This is
over that,
literally-
Jeff? Will people die over that?
I think you're going to have a lot of angry Argentinians. I mean, you got to look at this team. I mean, you literally have a dream team. I mean, Dybala, Higuain, Messi. I mean, so many great players. It's truly amazing. But it would really surprise me if they lose to Ecuador. Ecuador's an okay side, play good defense, but I just don't really see in this situation. They have been bullied all week in the media. I think Messi takes it into his own hands. I think if you parlay Argentina USA, I think you got a pretty damn good parlay there. Throw a unit down, have something to watch. I don't think the United States will lose, and I don't think if Argentina lose, that would be a damn shame because we need to see them in the World Cup.
Yeah, no, I mean, you've been into it. I know you've been doing very well. You can't win every single day. We know that. I would love to win every single day. I would love to tweet every single day that, hey, man, winning day, everything seems. There's a lot of people, though, on Twitter that seemingly are like, 10,000-0 at this point. It's not the way we get down here.
Oh, yeah.
We win, we'll tell you. We lose, we'll tell you. And we'll live to fight another day and try to give a matchup. Jeff, what do you say we transition here and get over to some football talk now, huh?
That sounds great.
101-102. Nice and clean on that. South Alabama versus Troy. 69% of the wagers coming in, Jeff, siding with South Alabama. Let's take a look at the lines here. Pinnacle opened up at 17, now sitting at 16. Chris opens up at 17, now sitting at 16.5. Sportsbook.com, 16.5. Bet Online, 16. Been a fan of Troy football for the past couple years. Going in clearly the better team of them, over South Alabama. What are we looking at some of the odds and ends on this one, Jeff? Because it's nice. I like the way college football is doing things up. We're going to have a Wednesday football game. You have 2 baseball games tomorrow and this game to tip off or kickoff here in college football. What can we expect from Troy here at home tomorrow night?
Yeah, kind of a shame this game isn't tonight. It would kind of give us something to watch here tonight.
Beautiful.
And
Yep.
I got to tell you, I think there's some value in this game. I like the under 49.5 in this game. Troy off of a bye last week after that big win against the LSU Tigers, and Troy coming in here 5-0 to the under. South Alabama at 1-4 or 4-1 to the under. They've had real trouble moving the football this year, the Jags. Now going to go on the road to a tough atmosphere in Troy against the best team in the conference, if you ask me. I think this is going to be a big advantage for Troy and a really tough spot for South Alabama. They're only averaging about 23 points a game this year, and their pace, Donnie. We talk about pace all the time. 110th in the country. They're just not moving the ball very well. Quarterback's been injured, and against this Troy defense, Troy one of the better defensive teams in the country, only giving up 18 points a game. And Donnie, what I also like about the under is it's not like Troy is a really good offense either. They're a typical Sun Belt offense. They run the football, ground and pound. They're going to look to beat you 24-10, 27 nothing. They're going to look to pitch shutouts. And I just don't see where the points are going to come from for this one to go over. Could I see Troy putting up 34, 37 points? Sure, but I'm just not sure I see many points out of South Alabama in this game. They looked really to have a lot of problems against a team like Oklahoma State, who I think we can agree, Donnie, not very good defensively. They still couldn't move the ball. It was almost hard to watch. Against a Troy defense, it's really impressive. 3 of the last 4 in this series have gone under. I'm going to look to go under 49.5 in this.
Yeah, I mean, if you take a look at South Alabama, obviously a tough start to the season. You're going to go, an SEC team and then a Big 12 team, 2 really good football teams, or what you thought was a good football team, or maybe a decent football team in Ole Miss. Alabama A&M, you get right. Idaho hasn't been that impressive today or this year, and then Louisiana Tech, who we've seen, hasn't been that impressive. Actually, just got beat by UAB, which is another story here. Already getting that win total at 3 for them. But Troy, you know what's interesting about that game, Jeff? When you look, it just pops off the screen. Balance there. Always tough to play. Boise opening night. Boise, on the blue turf. Hung around with them there. Then you got Alabama State, easy win. New Mexico State, which is a good ball club. You beat them. You beat Akron 22-17. Then you beat LSU. It's one of those teams where, they know how to fight. They know how to win in close football games. They're not afraid to play a lower scoring game and say, hey, it doesn't have to be an aerial show. Let's just get some first downs. Let's play good defense and win. The one interesting thing about this game, Jeff, you're looking at the win over LSU. That could be like one of those next week deflating things. You're king of the hill. How are we going to get up for playing South Alabama? The best part about it, Jeff, is you sit back and you had the bye week. You could party that whole week, get it out of your system. Next Saturday comes, you start your mindset getting back into the regular flow. You're 2 weeks away from that big upset against LSU. What a great time to have a bye. What a smart AD. Even if you were playing LSU and you lost, you figure it's going to be real physical. You might be banged up. You want to take that week off to decompress. Great work by their AD to schedule that up. So now you can dip right back into conference play and hopefully get a win and roll along after being 4-1 there.
No, that's a great point. Neil Brown's does a great job coaching this team in general anyway. And I just think this is really a fate of South Alabama and me not believing that they can score the football in this game. I mean, and like we've talked about, Donnie, Troy, App State, they're very similar in the thinking patterns of they're not going to score 50 points a game. That's not what they do. They're going to hold the football, long possessions, punch touchdowns in. I think they will cover as well. I think this is like a 31-10 type of game. I think they're really going to struggle South Alabama to score. Give me under 49.5.
All right, we'll keep it moving down the list here for us, Jeff. We'll go over on the docket, 111, 112, Washington State and Cal. We take a look at the opening lines here, Jeff. 14, Pinnacle opened up, sitting at 14. Chris opens up at 13.5, sitting also at 13.5. So depending where you're shopping out here, another one of those trying to get line values depending on what you like. 13.5 to 14, pretty decent number to cross over. But that is Cal and Washington State. I know, Jeff, you've been a fan of Washington State past couple of years. Luke Falk, you talk about him all the time, how good a quarterback he is. The one interesting thing when you take a look at this game, we know what we're getting out of Washington State. Past couple of years, looking at that Sonny Dykes offense or Spike Dykes offense there at Cal, run 100 miles an hour, play no defense, see if we can outscore the opponent. Not the same way this year. If we look at Cal this year, opened up Weber State, only 33 points, 27 points versus Ole Miss, 20 points versus USC, 24 versus Oregon, and 7 versus Washington. Usually this team would get beat last year when they got beat, Jeff, 67 to 38 when they got blown out. A much different team trying to change the mindset of Cal. What can we anticipate with Washington State moving forward here? I don't see it as much of a stress test for Washington State, even though it's only 14 points. I know Cal's a little bit better on the defensive end, but I just think Washington State's just in a different class than Cal right now.
They definitely are, and that's a great point, Donnie. Here's the problem, though, with Washington State. we've talked about me, you, Gabe, all of us. I love Washington State. I'm not gonna tell you any different. Am I interested in betting them as a 13.5 point favorite? Not on the surface, but when you really look at it, I mean, you look at Donnie in the last 25 years, Washington State's been a favorite of 10.5 to 14 points on the road 6 times. So they're not often a favorite of 2 touchdowns, this kind of number. But you kind of peel back the onion, and I think a guy with dollar signs on his mind, Donnie, is Alex Grinch, the defensive coordinator at Washington State. What he has done with this defense is absolutely phenomenal. They're sixth in the country against the pass. Sixth. I mean, just amazing. They're also absolutely fantastic against the run, just 41st in the country. And Cal has really struggled, Donnie, to run the football. You look at over the last 2 games, I think they have about 50 yards over the last 2 games running the ball. And you know what's interesting, Donnie? You mentioned their offense. They're just going to look to outscore you. They don't have a good defense. This year, they don't have a good defense, but they can't outscore anyone. They're 108th against the pass, giving up 264 yards a game. And their quarterback isn't Jared Goff or Davis Webb. He's not going to be moving the football like that. They're just not very good. Last week was a kind of prime example of what they are, and I used it as a measuring stick in this game. Do I think it's 38-7? No, but I do think Washington State will go on the road. Washington State's well coached. They went on the road last week and got the job done, which was a spot that I was concerned about. I think this time they've been on the road. They know what it's like to go on the road and win. Also, another thing about Cal, Donnie, that's very concerning. They're 124th in the country in turning the football over. 14 turnovers this year. That's way too many. Look for Washington State with that 6th-ranked passing defense to really get after them. I think they're going to get beat here. I think Washington State wins this one 35-17, 38-17. They'll be able to flex their defensive muscles yet again and get a cover here on the road.
Yeah, taking a look at both sides, Jeff. When you look at their schedules, the way they match up, I like to look at teams, how they handle, not like, competition that's better than you, but how you play in those games similarly. If you take a look at California, they step up in competition, 10-point loss to USC. Oregon, before they were injured, 45-24 blowout. Washington, 38-7, not really competitive. But instead of looking at Washington State saying, hey, they beat Oregon, hey, it was on the road. I know Oregon was banged up. That's still a good victory. I don't even want to look at that one. Don't even want to look at the USC victory that they had. Let's take a look at the two teams that they were supposed to beat and supposed to pulverize. Favored by 17.5 versus Oregon State, Jeff, 52-23 final. Favored by 28.5, Jeff, versus Nevada, 45-7 win. Those are the ones I like to look at because that tells you the mindset of what they're talking about, saying, hey, you know what? Bad team out there. Hey, let's have some fun out there. Let's not get hurt and see what happens. No, their mindset is we're going to come out and drive you into the ground, and we're not going to leave any doubt that they're going to win this game and walk away easy as a winner. I like to see that out of football teams. If it was one of those games, Jeff, where you saw, we're going to play Nevada or Oregon State and, by 7 or, man, we fumbled the ball 4 times. We're lucky to get out of there with a win. They pulverized both of those football teams. That shows the sign of a really good football team with a good head coaching staff. I like them in this game. I think it's a little bit rich. Again, 13.5 to 14, big move. If you have 13.5 now, trust me, you're more likely to see 14.5 than maybe a sharp buyback to 9.5 at this point, right?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people will kind of be like, kind of what I said, no one wants to lay points like this with Washington State. But in turn, I think people have to understand Cal is not good. Cal really struggles. Again, when you can't run the football, you really become one-dimensional, as we know, Donnie. And this pass defense for the Washington State Cougars is very legitimate. I mean, very legitimate. That defensive coordinator, Grinch, will be at a big program next year. We'll just wait.
Yeah, no, I like the direction of the program. We'll see if they can keep it going there. Mike Leach, again, he's king up there. They're not used to winning football games, not used to winning a ton. Now he has them in the limelight again, top 20 team, making bowl games, maybe even make a run at the Pac-12 title. Hopefully he's there a while and he likes that environment because it's clear that he fits in. And what more do you want out of a Washington State football program than what he has given you there? You have a national spotlight now, so pretty good situation, Jeff. Next up here, 193, 194, Navy and Memphis. Two teams I know you've been very interested in over the years. Scoring is not, maybe the word I would even use for this one. These are two teams that match up so well against each other. The Navy triple option versus that anemic defense that can't stop anybody on the ground from Memphis. Navy on the back end, not as talented in their back four, corners and safeties. You're going to get a pro-style offense coming directly at you with a really good quarterback and some weapons. Over-under, Jeff, opens up at 75, sitting currently at 75 as well. Not as much as a move, but if we take a look at a side perspective here, Jeff, with Memphis, opens up at 4.5 at Pinnacle, now down to 3.5 at Pinnacle, 5.5 at Chris, now sitting at 3 at Chris. I'm not going to lie, Jeff. I actually agree with the line movement here. Navy is always in that football game. If you're going to ask me two teams that are going to have trouble stopping, I don't see Memphis stopping Navy all that much. And I'll take the points in the situation, Jeff.
Yeah, this is a really interesting game, Donnie, and you have to look kind of outside the box with this game. You look at Memphis on the surface. You're going to say to yourself, we know Navy runs the ball. They're the best rushing offense in the league or in the country. 414 yards per game. And Donnie, you look at the fact that they're 17 yards better than everyone else. They control the line of scrimmage. They're an absolutely flawless rush attack. It's beautiful to watch. Memphis 94th against the run. I think they're going to have a lot of trouble in this game. And Donnie, what's the key to shutting down a good pass offense? Can you tell me?
Getting some pass rush on them.
Or keeping them off the field. Navy is second in the country in time of possession per game, 35 minutes a game. Donnie, also, you look at over the years, and Navy's a great team to use these trends on. I don't use these trends really at all, but you look at the Naval Academy as a whole, I really respect the trends and stats coming out of that group just because they're unifiably the same team every year. They're almost like robots, you could say, right? I mean, they come in, they all play the same football game. They all step in. Yeah, they all just step in. You look at on the road, Donnie, over the last 118 games, 79-39 against the spread. They've also been extremely good in the underdog role. And you said it, they just stay in games. The big thing when you have a coin flippy type of game like this where you just don't know who to pick, what defense do I trust to get a stop when I need one? I sure as hell don't trust Memphis to ever get a stop when I need one. And second of all, penalties, little things. You look at the penalty discrepancy in this game, Donnie. Navy at third in the country in fewest penalties per game. Memphis, 122nd. That is going to be the difference in this football game, if you ask me. Memphis has went on the road, or Navy's went on the road and won. And Donnie, let's get real and look at Memphis, okay? They beat UCLA. Big deal. It was at home. It was an early start, and you barely did it. And at the end of the day, who's UCLA? They're not even that good. You barely beat UL Monroe. You struggled with Southern Illinois. This team has struggled. Okay, you beat UConn and put up 70 points. Big deal. You, me, and 9 listeners could do that. I just don't know how much I really respect Memphis. I think in this role, it's all about coaching. I like Norvell, but I like Niumatalolo a lot more. Penalties are going to be the difference in this game to me. And can we get a stop? I think Navy's more inclined to get a stop here. Give me the 3.5. I really like this play.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I'm excited, looking forward to that game. 75, everything has to go right to hit the over-under in that one. But there just seems to me, Jeff, that there's going to be a lot of home run plays in this. Even from Navy. I can see Navy with a couple 4-play, 1 minute 30-second drives where they hit one for 50 to 60 yards. And the same way with Memphis's offense, a 2-play drive where they're just throwing some bombs deep just because they're saying, look, we're more athletic than you. We might as well take our shots now as opposed to running the football. Should be a lot of fun to watch that game. So I'm certainly going to be interested in that one, Jeff. 2-11, 2-12, Oregon, Stanford here. Pac-12 battle. We all know that Oregon's been banged up, fresh off a tail kicking from Washington State, 33-10. If we look at it from Stanford's perspective, open the season, USC, San Diego State losing back-to-back games, but since being back in Pac-12 play, beat UCLA handily, also beating Arizona State by double digits and squeaking out a tough matchup there. No shame in going up to Utah and pulling out a win, even if you didn't cover the point spread. Any win up there in a Pac-12 environment is always going to be a tough one. What are we looking at this perspective, Jeff? Because Stanford, they're going to try to run the football. Back in the day, looking at Oregon, much more up-tempo, Chip Kelly team saying we'll worry more about the offense than the defense. Now, actually, head coaching change. You got Jim Leavitt on defense. Not as bad defensively, but what can we expect from Oregon here, Jeff, on the offensive side of the ball?
Well, I don't think we can expect a ton, but one thing I do expect, Donnie, Willie Taggart came out and said, and if you watch the game, you would know, But Burmeister can't throw the ball. He's not a particularly good quarterback. What they're going to do is look to establish the run. They weren't able to do it last week against a stout Wazoo front, but I think they're going to be able to do it this week. This Stanford team has really struggled to stop the run. 90th in the country, giving up almost 4.8 yards a carry. Not good. I think they're really going to struggle against Royce Freeman. And don't forget, Burmeister can run with the football as well. You also look at the fact, Donnie, that Stanford, we know what their MO is. They like to pound and ground and pound, run the football with Bryce Love. This Oregon defense has improved significantly. Their defense, run defense, is absolutely nasty. 10th in the country. They got some big boys up front that I think that are really going to give Bryce Love a little bit of a problem. Are they going to be able to shut him down? No. But here's the problem that I don't think when you shut down Penn State and Saquon Barkley, you shut down Barkley, but you still have McSorley, you still have Gesicki, you still have other options to go to. I'm not sure that I'm confident that Costello or Christ can beat Oregon's defense. Oregon has made many strides on the defensive end. The concern you have, though, for Oregon, and this is a game that I'm really close to pulling on, I want to take Oregon. I actually like them in this game. I think they'll hang within 10 points. The concern I have, though, is Oregon is, Donnie, the most penalized team in the country. They're dead last. They have to clean that up. If they don't commit bad penalties in this game and Burmeister doesn't turn the football over, just manages the game, gives you occasional first down through the air, I think they hang within this number and get the job done. If you look at Stanford, against good defenses that can stop the run, they've struggled. Utah, they struggled. They won the game, but they struggled against Arizona State as well. I look for in this game, I think it comes down to the wire. I think Oregon's making leaps and bounds. I just wish Herbert was in there. If Herbert's in there, I think they could win this game outright. But I would look to take the points. I really like what Oregon does against the run. I think they could shut down and neutralize Bryce Love. Give me the 10.5. I'll go with Oregon.
Yeah, over under 60 looks like that's down to 58.5. But yeah, you're getting double digits in that one. Opened up at 10.5, still staying at 10.5, Jeff, despite 82% of the early tickets coming in on Stanford. So that line not moving there. Looks like some people have the same opinion as you because, again, this isn't your, I always like to use the term, it's not your dad's Oregon team where Stanford would just line up with literally 3 tight ends, 16 fat guys on the line of scrimmage, and pound Oregon into the ground. 15-play drives. This team can stop. I mean, just take a look at a couple of the games that they've had, Jeff. I mean, you're going up, 87 yards on the ground versus Washington State, 8 versus Cal. Arizona State runs that read option, 2 good running backs and an athletic quarterback, 147. Wyoming, 117. 109 in Nebraska, who at that time had 2 capable running backs in the game. So you're right. They can stop the run. And, outside of the run for Stanford, if you somewhat stymie that, they don't have very many answers.
No, they don't, and that's the concern. I mean, they're just a team that when you get them out of the element a little bit, when you could stop the run, you're going to have a chance because they don't have the ability to throw their way into a game, throw their way back into a game. You just don't really trust them from the pass offense scheme of things. For me, I think Oregon is improving significantly on the defensive end, and they still have that guy named Royce Freeman, Donnie, against a team that has had trouble stopping the run. Oregon hangs in this game.
Yeah, no, hey, that's not a bad one. I actually didn't really have that one too much on my radar, but now looking at it, and I'm always a fan of taking the dog, taking double digits, and see what happens there, especially with 2 decent football teams lining up. Last game of the 5-pack, Jeff, we'll take a look at 173, 174, Utah and USC. Taking a look at some line movement in this one, Jeff. Not much. Opened up at 13 with Pinnacle, still at 13. Chris opened up at 12.5, still staying at 12.5 as well. Good Pac-12 matchup in this one. Kind of interesting. My first indication when I look at that line, Jeff, it just says to me it's a little bit too much. I just like the way Utah plays games. Tough loss last week, 23-20 to Stanford. And, of course, USC with a lot of players banged up. But, again, Oregon State, I mean, you could probably use USC's 4-string team and beat them the same way, 38-10. This should be a really good matchup here. What are your thoughts on this one?
Well, on the surface, I think a lot of people need to definitely do their homework on this football game. Utah is a solid football team. They're good against the run. They're going to keep you in this game defensively. They're 22nd overall in the country, Donnie, in total scoring defense. The problem with Utah at this point offensively is they lost their guy in Tyler Huntley. And it was amazing, Donnie, how this offense looked with Huntley in there. He was a really good passer. He could move his feet. You look at Darren Carrington coming over to Utah. It was a different offense. They didn't look like Utah. Utah normally runs the football, grounds pounds and pounds like Stanford does. Not this year. Huntley was extremely effective, and without him in there, Donnie, Troy Williams just isn't the same quarterback. Since Huntley left, their offensive numbers have gone down significantly. Carrington's not been the same receiver. He's dropped off a little bit. I have to also wonder at what point, from what I heard this week in practice, Whittingham said that Cooper Bateman, the former Alabama quarterback, would get reps at quarterback. I'll be interested to see if he's in or Troy Williams in. Now, I'm not saying Troy Williams is a bad quarterback. He's a capable backup, but I'd much rather want Huntley in a game like this in there. But you also look at Donnie. Do I think USC can cover a number like this? No, because they don't cover numbers. They're 1-5 against the spread. They're a team that has had struggles. You mentioned the injuries. Burnett might be out for this game. Their defense has had some problems at times, and Darnold has thrown too many interceptions. For me, I would look under in this game. I think this Utah offense is going to struggle as long as Huntley's not in there. And who knows what you're going to have. It could be Bateman. It could be Williams. And you look at the other side of the ball, Utah has been really good against the run, 3.36 yards per carry. Look for them to neutralize that. And I think defensively, they're just going to make it tough on Sam Darnold. I think this is a 34-17, 30-21 type of game. I think if you can get this number under or over that 55 mark, I would look under the total in this game. A lot of unders in the Pac-12 this year, and I only think that's going to continue. You have a lot of improving defenses, but one thing's clear, Donnie, Utah always been good on the defensive end, but this year, you got to do your homework because Utah, their numbers are a little bit glaring. They look really good offensively, but remember, a lot of that good offensive production came with Huntley in there, quarterback. Troy Williams, a little bit different story, doesn't command the offense as well as Huntley does.
Yeah, but when you look at that, though, Jeff, they're similar quarterbacks. But do you take into effect that the 3 games that Huntley looked good in was North Dakota, BYU, and San Jose State, though? You know what I mean? Like, you're going down. I mean, you're getting into Pac-12 play. You're going on the road at Arizona. They pulled out a nice win by 6. I mean, it wasn't a great, 112 on the ground, 229 in the air. And then you play a Stanford team in one of those, tough, hard-fought games, 144 on the ground, 238. So I think you got to take a little bit because San Jose State, you can roll your helmet out there and throw for 400 yards if you want to against them. Do you take any of that?
Listen,
is when you're looking in this one?
Yeah, sure, Donnie. I agree with what you're saying. I do look at the competition, but here's the crux of things. Troy Williams has a completion percentage in his career at 50%. Huntley, 73%. Now, do I think Huntley, I can't really comment on what I think Huntley would be against a team like USC because I've never seen him play. All I'm saying is the offense ran a lot better with Huntley in there. Plus, that's a good point by you. They were playing opponents that weren't up to their wavelength and much below it. So for me, that only strengthens the argument here that Utah is a little bit of a fraud offensively. We have to point that out. Yeah. They're just not the same team. Throwing that quarterback that can't complete passes. They are the similar quarterback. The difference between the two is I think Huntley can complete passes. I'm not sure that Troy Williams can.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because, again, you're not even asking them to win the football game. And the one thing I like about Utah is very rarely, Jeff, is Whittingham is the head coach, is that correct, Kyle Whittingham? They don't get blown out much. Even when they take a step up in competition, that team's a damn good coach football team.
And that's why at 12.5, it's hard to, and for the record, Donnie, Utah's 4-0 against the spread this year. USC's 1-5. So they're not covering numbers. This is kind of that you need to win by, 14 to 20 points here to cover this number. Yeah. It's a tough thing to do. I like the under more or less. It's at 54 now, which is about where I would kind of, if it goes to like 52, 51, I'm not as interested, but I like this under where it is right now at 54.
No, I agree. Good games there. I like the games that you actually picked out because a lot of people, might be just skimming over and see the number. But when you actually dip into that, some good food for thought there because if you're looking at games, initial indication for me on that one was Utah, getting the 13.5 or, 14 points depending on where you're going to be shopping out there. Should be a good matchup there. I'm going to lean and maybe break down that game a little bit more than what I would have taken a look at before. So it's good stuff, good 5-pack that we picked out, Jeff. We do have a couple minutes here. We'll spend about maybe 5 minutes. Why don't we talk about a little bit of NFL action? We'll brush over some of these football games coming up. I know a lot of people are going to want to talk right off the bat, Jeff. 103-104, Philadelphia and Carolina. Great matchup for a Thursday night game. You never know what you're going to get on Thursday night. A really crisp played game or a fun shootout like you had with the Rams and the 49ers, or just be, sit back and be brutalized by a lot of these Thursday night football games, a little bit sluggish. But this game doesn't tend to be sluggish. You have two good quarterbacks coming into this football game that have won in the football league. Carson Wentz, obviously only second year, looking to make that next step up. Super Bowl appearance for Cam Newton, MVP caliber. We get that. But you also have some weapons, some good defenses to play out. I think it's going to come down to what that closing number is going to be. If it's 3 or less, I would be leaning in the Carolina direction. If it's 3.5 or more, be leaning towards more the Eagles. So all the update today, I don't know how much you can take out of it, but if Fletcher Cox plays in this football game, him and Jernigan matched up again healthy as your 2-tackle combo is a beautiful thing to have. I don't think he's going to play in this football game because, again, they're not practicing in full pads, more of a walkthrough, and he was out there. If I'm the Eagles, Jeff, I'm sitting him in this football game, giving him the extended time off, getting ready for an NFC East divisional foe on Monday Night Football with the Washington Redskins. But as an Eagles fan that we both are, it's a great game. And when you like to say, Jeff, a measuring stick game, if the Eagles go on the road on a Thursday night game and knock off Carolina in their own building, that's going to tell you a lot what you have here, Jeff.
Yeah, I actually agree with you totally on Fletcher Cox. Would you love to have him in there? Sure you would. I mean, Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, Barnett, Timmy Jernigan. I mean, that would really cause Cam Newton a lot of problems. But one thing we have to remember about Thursday night games, everything's sped up. So it's basically like today's Friday, basically, in a way. And, as far as when you have Fletcher Cox, like you said, and I think they made great points on post-game or pregame live or Philly Sports Talk. They mentioned that everyone sitting at that table could probably do the workouts that they do today. It's not that strenuous. You're not doing anything. You're not hitting anyone. I don't think Fletcher Cox plays. I think it's all just kind of to get clicks and stuff. It would be great if he did. He's not going to play. Smallwood's not going to play either. And it's extremely unlikely that Lane Johnson plays. So for me, that hurts. But I do think they have plenty of depth. Not only on the offensive line, but I think the offensive line will be fine as well. But it's hard to pinpoint, Donnie. You look at when Lane Johnson's in there, Carson Wentz is 9-2. When he's not in there, he's 2-10, I believe. So it is concerning. Yeah. Let's hope Big V for one game can really do some good things. It's concerning. But overall, I like the stuff coming out of the Eagles locker room. I like that they almost have leaders now in that locker room. They just look like a little bit different team. They're starting to not commit the dumb things and do the dumb things. You're starting to see leadership on the field. You're starting to see guys like Zach Ertz really seize opportunities. Nelson Aguilar, their front seven's fantastic. It's just all about, can that defense in the secondary not break? And they have two good safeties, which I think really goes a long way in discussing the Eagles secondary. And without those safeties, like if your safeties at this point were Nate Allen and, someone like that, I mean, their secondary would probably be the worst in the league. You get Jenkins and you get McLeod in there. They're a different team. You have some depth now as well, and you're getting Darby back at some point. They're only going to get better. This is a barometer measuring stick type of game. I think the Eagles can go and win this game. It's going to be close. This 3.5 points, which I think are going to be huge. Should be a great game. I'm really looking forward to it. We also have to remember one other thing, Donnie. The Carolina Panthers have had trouble running the football. It's not going to get any easier this week. Eagles are a really good run-stopping defense, even without Fletcher Cox. The question is, can they run the ball against Carolina, who has been pretty good against the run themselves? It's all about the quarterbacks here. I like the Eagles' weapons more than I like Carolina's. Give me Carolina, or give me the Eagles plus 3.5. I get 3.5 at 3. I would still go with the Eagles here.
Yeah, interesting. You're right about that. Both of these teams' rushing defenses off the charts, playing very well, and that all gets back to being a really, really good front seven that can get off the line of scrimmage and win that line. So whoever wins that, obviously on Thursday, is going to have a key advantage here, Jeff. Only a couple minutes left. Why don't we pick one more game out? I wanted to pick this game on purpose, Jeff, because I think it's actually one of the more intriguing games of the week in the NFL. It's going to be a 4:25 p.m. start Eastern Time, 269, 270, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, on the outset there, Kansas City looks phenomenal. It almost looks like a system, Jeff, like we talk about Navy, plug and play. A lot of injuries on Kansas City, which is real interesting as you're going to watch throughout the week. Justin Houston went down in that game. He has a calf injury listed as questionable. We'll see how he progresses. Kelsey over the middle in the first half, dominant, gets his head knocked into the ground on hard turf. He's out with a concussion. We'll see in the concussion protocol how he continues. Couple wide receivers went down for Kansas City. So you're not getting a full steam Kansas City team, and how are they going to react to that? Still down a couple offensive linemen. It doesn't seem to matter at this point because the play calling's been superb, catching breaks in a couple games. Few injuries for Houston, but take a look at the Pittsburgh Steelers coming in here, Jeff. One of those games I love to bet with a team is a game where they were embarrassed. They didn't come to play. My goodness, how could they do that? The Pittsburgh Steelers right now, 5 interceptions. Big Ben saying, I don't even know if I have it anymore. Antonio Brown had 15 targets last week. That's not enough. I even heard, Le'Veon Bell, Jeff, squawking this week. I'm not getting enough touches. He had 25 touches last week. So your one wide receiver who doesn't get the ball enough had 10 catches and 15 targets. Your one running back who says he wants the ball more got 25 touches last week. And your quarterback just trying to spread it all around saying, I don't know if I have it. What do we expect out of this game, Jeff? Like, I'm breaking this game down all week. I think it's really interesting. Either way it could possibly go. And I'm not going to lie, Jeff, I'm building a case again, which didn't work last week when I tried to bet some money on Sunday Night Football to go against Kansas City. I'm trying to build that case, Jeff. They have to lose sometime. When is it going to be?
I love the Pittsburgh Steelers in this game. I told you that last night,
there
Donnie.
you go.
We agreed with each other. I'm all over them in this game. The NFL is a buy low league. And when you're getting a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers, it can't get any lower than what happened last week. The Pittsburgh Steelers radio was Pittsburgh sports radio was as if the world was ending tomorrow. This offense is at a low point. Nobody wants to back them. And who are they playing? The only team that hasn't lost a game yet, the Kansas City Chiefs. You mentioned the injuries. Without Kelsey, I got to tell you, I'm not as interested in that offense. And we saw in the second half, I mean, you love Kareem Hunt. You love what they do there. But without Kelsey, I'm just not too high. Chris Conley's gone as well. They just don't have a ton of players to throw to. And the saving grace for the Steelers are their defense has been pretty good this year. And Donnie, let me ask you, I'm not a big Todd Haley guy, but where did he used to coach?
Todd Haley, Arizona.
No, he coached in Kansas City, didn't he?
Oh, that's it. Well, yeah, I'm sorry about that. I was going in. You're right. You're right. Yep. Head coach, Kansas City assistant. Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So, I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say he knows that team a little bit more than others. I'm not a big Haley guy. I'm going to come out and say that. But the Kansas City Chiefs are going to lose at some point. This looks like a great spot to take an underdog who, let's be honest, Donnie, listen, I like the Steelers more than a lot of people. They got a great offense. They got plenty of options. I don't like bet on the road. But right now, the whole world's going to be on fading the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm not going to be one of them. Give me the Pittsburgh Steelers here. I think they win this game.
Let's take a look. It's good because we only have about a minute or two here, Jeff. Look at the pass defense. You're right about that. Against Jacksonville. Now, Jacksonville ran the football and just said, we have 5 turnovers. We're just going to sit on it. 82 yards passing. Baltimore, 206. The Chicago Bears, 84 passing yards. 146 Minnesota. Cleveland, 180.
They're sick.
Now, are they upper-tier echelon teams? No. But if you're going to tell me that I'm going to be able to defend the back end like that, and you're going to take Kelsey out of the equation and say it's all about Tyreek Hill, who hasn't been that great as an actual receiver, more of a, option Percy Harvin type, it's an interesting angle to look at.
And Donnie, you know what else they're going to do? There's a little thing you can watch on TV. It's called film. Okay, and what they're going to see on that film is that the Houston Texans just kept allowing Alex Smith to roll out of the pocket and hit that receiver. It's like that Madden play. You play in Madden. If you ever played Madden, Donnie, easiest play is to shift to the right and find the receiver darting across. It's called the tight end post. It's a very simple play. Everybody runs it. They kept allowing that to go on, whether it was to Kelsey, whether it was to Kareem Hunt. It didn't matter. They need to shut that down. Look for Pittsburgh to shut that down. I think this game comes down to the wire, and I think Pittsburgh will be back on the they're a buy low team now. Look for them to be a little bit more of a higher end team after this week. They will beat the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, no, I liked it. That's why I picked the game out, because it has a lot of intriguing things that you like to take a look at. Team in turmoil, team doing very well. One team's banged up. Who's going to want to show up? Is one team shot or not? So a lot of fun here. Folks, that about do it for tonight on the closing line for October the 10th, presented by SportsbookReview.com. Jeff Nadu, the big man on campus, one of my favorite guests. You see us all the time on the air, good friends off the air. We do have a lot of fun doing this. So follow all him, give him a follow at Jeff Nadu on Twitter. Also check him out on other shows as well. He does a lot of soccer also on Saturday, 11 a.m. with Pistol Pete, and they do break down the closing line NCAA action. Check out everything on the latest, SBRodds.com, at SBR Sports Picks on Twitter. Give us a like, a follow, give us some feedback there. Subscribe to us on YouTube. From everybody here at SportsbookReview.com, good luck on your wagers tonight, even though there's not really much to wager on. We hope he helped you beat the closing line. Good luck, fellas.
Hey, Donnie.
We'll see you again tomorrow. Yeah, what's up, man?
Looks like Tanner Roark's going to be the starter here for Game 4. So they're sticking with him.
There you go. Impressive. Have a good night, fellas.